Hello, and thanks for watching the latest of our interviews, which is with the latest Ginetta Junior Championship leader, Bailey Voisin. Bailey, it's good to see you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thanks. Just wanted to start by, we're having a bit of a run here talking to championship leaders in Ginetta Juniors. We've had 2 rounds, 2 different leaders. And first of all, as someone who's been around motorsport a long time, for me, taking the lead of a championship on the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit would be superb. But it's been some years since that configuration at Brands, or indeed Brands Hatch in general, has been used as a Grand Prix circuit. Does it still resonate with you?
Absolutely. It's such a brilliant track to drive, and to be able to take the championship lead is at such an iconic track is just phenomenal. The R Racing boys did an amazing job all weekend. So yeah, no, I'm over the moon.
It was a great meeting to see. We'll turn the clock back just a little bit to Donington Park. Obviously, you won the opening race of the season, which set a benchmark straight away. Testing was strong too. And then race 2, which decides the grid for race 3, you had a problem. What was that?
Absolutely. Unfortunately, an electrical failure in the engine bay meant that I had to come in and pit. So I lost a lot of time. I was sort of I was in the lead pack for the battle of the race, but I had to pit, and unfortunately I finished the race 19th, which meant that I had to start race 3 on the last row of the grid. So that made my job quite difficult on Sunday.
But you came through. You gave us some great entertainment on the Sunday coming through the field. And I think I went up a couple of octaves. Paul O'Neill probably did as well, to say, hang on, Bailey's come through from the back. So great drive, and that really kept you in the running, didn't it? Just going back to the problem, what was the electrical fault? Do you know exactly what it was?
I believe one of the wires had come undone on the engine head, so just sort of I lost all power out on track, to be honest. So yeah, it wasn't brilliant, but we managed to recover well and scored some decent points on Sunday's race.
Must have been good to get over that problem and just bang in a decent result on the Sunday. And then of course you carried the form right the way through to Brands Hatch GP, more wins, and to come away with the championship lead as well. So a good weekend. Talk us through a typical racing weekend from your point of view.
So we usually, obviously it's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday race weekend, and usually I arrive on the Thursday. I would go and meet the team on Thursday night, evening, afternoon, and sort of just, say my hellos and make sure everything is prepared for the Friday testing. So Friday morning we arrive, sort of just go through some videos, maybe read through some notes that we've made in our past test days, just to make sure that we're hitting the ground running. And then we sort of have a debrief of every single test session. And then on Saturday, we're straight into qualifying. So we've got to make sure that we're on it straight away and that we're not leaving anything on the table. So yeah, basically Friday all over again, but just a bit stressful and slightly more important, to be honest. And then Sunday is the main race, the one that everyone wants to do well at, and hopefully get on the podium and have an interview on ITV4. So that is roughly a main weekend. But prior to that, I go on the simulator before every single round and just try and learn the circuit before getting there, so that I have that advantage, and just so that I'm not wasting any time there.
You were saying you have to travel to do the simulator. It's not something you do at home. So who do you do that with?
Absolutely.
Where is it?
I go over into Brentwood and I use a 21 Performances sim, which is a state-of-the-art simulator, and it's really been helpful to be able to just be really well prepared for all the racing.
It's interesting to hear about the prep. So what we see on TV, sometimes we see 2 junior races on a Sunday, sometimes it's just the one. And that really is, I mean, it is a cliche, but it really is the tip of the iceberg, isn't it? It's so much more that you have to do in the run-up.
Absolutely. There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that a lot of people don't actually realise. So yeah, it's not just turn up and drive. There's a lot of effort and work that's put in behind everything, sort of fitness-wise and just driving-wise.
And of course, you've been preparing for this career in other ways before. Let's turn the clock back, as we have done on other interviews. How did you find the passion for motor racing, and how did you get in?
Well, actually, when I was very young, I used to live in Monaco, and I think maybe watching all the F1 Grand Prix just gave me that urge to try it out myself. So when we moved back to Switzerland, motorsport's actually banned in Switzerland, so I went off and did my French FFSA license. I never had the opportunity to race in Europe, but I then went to boarding school in the UK and started doing karting over here. So the first year I really just sort of had to learn the racecraft and everything, learn the tracks. And then the second year I did the British Championships, which was 2018. And at the end of that year, I then did the Ginetta Junior Scholarship.
Scholarship's great. We meet so many people coming through that now. It's not something somebody has to do, but it is a good environment for people to get to know other drivers, maybe for you to hook up with teams. Is that where you hooked up with your team last year, Douglas Motorsport?
Well, Douglas weren't actually at the scholarship last year, but it just gave us an insight of what happens. And it sort of just allowed us to meet different people and so look at what teams were available for the season of 2019. So yeah, it was a brilliant experience, and just to be able to drive the car and sort of have an idea of what would be needed to do on a race weekend, sort of interviews, fitness and everything like that.
It's a good thing to be part of. I've enjoyed the 3 years that I worked on it. Hopefully something will happen again. I don't know what's going to happen this year because everything's crunched into about 3 months, so it's going to be difficult for Ginetta as well as everybody else. Douglas gave you your first year experience in Ginetta Junior racing. This year with R Racing, and what a strong team they've got.
Absolutely. I mean, the driver lineup for R Racing is really strong this year, and it's really helped all of us, to be honest. We've all within a couple of tenths of each other, so we can all learn of each other and improve. So it is extremely competitive, and we're all sort of striving to be the best in the team, but there's not one who's always quicker than the other. There's loads of different, we're all stronger at different tracks. So it is a brilliant environment to be in, and we're all super friendly with each other, and yeah, it's an amazing team.
I don't know if you have to have a drafting partner at most tracks for qualifying, but do you kind of take it in turns when you do have to do that?
Yeah, so actually at the moment I'm towing with Freddie Tomlinson and Josh Rattigan. So we do take it in turns. We sort of, obviously in a 3-car tow, it's a lot more complicated than a 2-car tow, but we do take it in turns on who has the first towing lap, and we try and alternate it each round.
Obviously, that the teamwork is working superbly. You know, the team will give you a good car. You've still got to drive it. I always say that to the guys that get the win. It is a team sport, but ultimately it's about you getting to the line first. What did it feel like to get that first race win at Donington Park?
It was an amazing feeling. Yeah, it was like nothing else, to be honest. I mean, we knew we had the pace to be fighting for wins, but to be able to win the first race is something special. And I agree with you. I mean, yes, the team got to deliver, but it's got to be the entire package. Everyone's got to work well together, and you've got to have someone who can drive it well, but also have the team that can put something underneath you that is going to be quick.
Those of us that talk about the championship a lot, Paul O'Neill, myself, lots of other people in the ITV team and the other journos, think that this year is as difficult a year as we've seen in juniors, because a lot of time a second year driver can maybe have an easier second year because the rookies might take a while to come on. But this year the rookies are very strong. So I think you second year drivers have got a fair amount of competition on your plate.
Absolutely. The Ginetta Junior Championship is extremely competitive, and that's what it builds itself on. So the rookies have had a lot of time to test this year, obviously due to the current situation in the world. They've almost had 2 testing seasons, so they are extremely quick and they are fighting for those victories. So they are putting a lot of pressure on us, but we've just got to cope with it. It's never easy in Ginetta Juniors.
We've spoken about karting, we've spoken a bit about Ginetta Juniors. What sort of future do you eye up for yourself? Is it maybe saloon car racing, touring cars, or GTs, or even single seaters further up the ladder? What do you think?
I would love to pursue a career in GT, to be honest. That's what I've got my eye on at the moment, and we've definitely got to think about what I'm going to try and do next year. At the moment, I'm definitely going to try and concentrate on this championship and hopefully get some success, and that will open some doors for future years. But at some point through the season, we're going to have to sit down and lay our options on the table and decide what's best.
A bit of an anorak question for you, Bailey. Who would you say are your motorsport heroes and why?
At the moment in Formula One, I'd say Lando Norris, just because he's young, he's talented, and he's just different to everyone else. He's a funny character, and he seems to be just quite pleasant to be around. So at the moment, that would be my idol in F1.
That's a good choice, and obviously a pleasure to have seen him come up through. I remember the first time he turned up at Brands Hatch, tiny little lad, you know, with his kit and his suitcase, and I don't think it hadn't even been announced that he was going to come, but it's really good to be able to follow him and the likes of yourselves through the Formula over the years. We're looking ahead to Knockhill Circuit, which is the next Ginetta Junior round. You're leading the championship. How much pressure do you feel, and what are your preparations like in the coming days as we head up to Scotland?
So I don't want to try and feel the pressure, to be honest, because that's when you underperform. And yeah, I've just got to sort of put it behind me and just concentrate. If I lose the lead of the championship at Knockhill, it's not that big a deal. It's still a long championship, and ultimately it's just trying to score points and look at it in terms of the long run. So and before Scotland, I will be going on the simulator preparing for that. Obviously, we've had limited testing up there. Well, I haven't been there in over a year. So it will be interesting going up there. But just to try and get that head start, I will be going on the sim, and I'll be watching some races from last year and just looking at what I can do and what I can't do in terms of racecraft wise.
Going on the sim, do you do dry sim, and do they do wet sim testing as well for Knockhill? Because inevitably we're going to get some horizontal rain.
Yes, I have actually looked at the forecast, and for the moment it is raining. But it's very difficult to be able to get a wet sim sort of setup. The reason being is that in the wet, it changes all the time. You've actually got to go out and find the grip.
Yeah.
There isn't a sort of ideal line. So to be able to put that on the sim is extremely difficult. And I think almost if there was a wet software for the sim, it would give you bad habits, because it would just teach you one line, which is not actually what you should be doing. You should be going out and testing different lines and finding the most grip.
How many days testing do you get? I know you're heading up to Knockhill fairly early in the week, so how much track time do you actually get on circuit there?
So I will be testing there Monday and Tuesday, and then we'll have the start of the race weekend on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I'll get a couple of days up there, and I'll try and make the most of it and just learn the track. But it's a lot less testing than what we would have done, let's say, at another track which is closer to home.
We look forward to seeing you up there. Good luck with the preparations. Good luck for the racing as well, Bailey. Thanks ever so much for joining us on here. And hopefully we'll catch up with you again a little bit later on in the season, and possibly, probably, on the podium interviews with Louise Goodman on ITV4 as well. Thanks for joining us. Best wishes to your family, by the way, and I hope that we can see you soon.
Thank you for your time. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bailey.